Good morning to all. Welcome back, and in this session I am going to discuss about a topic on anti-replay service. So in the previous sessions we have seen that the ESP, that is the encapsulating security payload, is going to provide us a wide variety of security services, out of which we have the confidentiality and authentication is there, traffic flow confidentiality is there. Like that, it is also going to provide us one more security service which is called as the anti-replay service. In this session we are going to discuss a few topics like what is a replay attack. First we will start our discussion with the replay attack, and then we will see how this ESP is going to thwart this attack, and what are the steps that are done to thwart this anti-replay attack or to provide this anti-replay service at the sender side, and how the receiver is going to do the processing at the receiving side in order to thwart this anti-replay, in order to thwart this replay attack, that is in order to provide this anti-replay service. So let us start our discussion with a small topic of how this replay attack will happen. By looking at this term, you can understand that this is an attack where it is going to replay the messages. Replay means resend. It's a simple type of attack. So let us see the scenario how it happens. This is the sender S and this is the receiver R, and assume that these two parties are connected with the communication channel. This is the communication channel. Assume that there exists an attacker who is called as Eve. During the transmission of data from the sender to the receiver, what this Eve will do is she will simply intercept the communication channel and she tries to store the IP packets at his own location or his or her own location. And once the data transmission is completed, after some time the Eve will be sending these authenticated, assume that these are IP packets that are stored at the Eve are authenticated IP packets, they are genuine packets. So after some time the Eve will send the same authenticated genuine IP packets to the receiver again. By looking at these IP packets, the receiver will get confused. Oh, I am already having this type of packets. Why I receive the same packets again and again? Whether the sender is sending the same packets or somebody has attacked and they are sending the packets. So there is a possibility that the services may be stopped by the receiver. So this type of attack we call it as the replay attack. The attacker is going to replay, or the attacker is going to retransmit the same authenticated IP packets to the genuine receiver, so that it is going to confuse the receiver and it may lead to the stopping of services that are provided by the receiver. So after completing this first part, let us look at how this ESP is going to thwart or counter this replay attack, or how it is going to provide a service called anti-replay service. In the previous sessions, we have seen the packet format of the ESP. Something like this, it is a top level packet, and the first field we have is the SPI, which gives some information related to the security association, and the second field is very important. Yesterday also I have discussed that the second field, which is called as the sequence number, or else you can also call it as the sequence counter. This sequence number is introduced into the ESP packet in order to counter attack this replay attack, or in order to provide this anti-replay service, we are going to use the ESP packet. In the sense, the ESP packet is going to use the sequence number field, which is a 32-bit field, and it is going to use this sequence number to counter this replay attack. So this is all about the introduction part of the replay attack and the anti-replay service that is provided by the ESP. And after this we will see how we are going to process the things at the sender side and how we are going to process the things at the receiver side. That completes the complete discussion on the anti-replay service. It's a very simple topic. As we have discussed that the replay attack is one in which the attacker obtains a copy of authenticated IP packet and later transmits it to the intended destination. So it will get the copy of the authenticated packet, and that same packet will be replayed or resent to the destination or the receiver, genuine receiver. Upon receiving the duplicate copy of the authenticated IP packets, the receiver will get confused, and that may lead to the disruption of service in some way, or it may have some other undesired consequence. And the solution, I told that the solution is we are going to introduce a new field called a sequence number field inside the ESP packet so that we can thwart such replay attacks. So once we are done with this introduction part of the replay attack and the anti-replay service, let us have a look at how this sequence number is generated at the sender side. So there exist some steps here. This is very simple technique. So what we will do is, these are the sequence of steps that need to be followed at the sender side to generate the sequence number. So we'll see how this sequence number is generated first. The first step is, whenever you want to establish a new SA stands for Security Association. A Security Association is nothing but a logical connection between the sender and the receiver in order to provide the security services. When a new security association is established, you have to initialize the sequence number counter with 0. So the first step is nothing but initializing the counter with 0. Very simple step. And step 2 is, it is also very simple step. Whenever you send a packet each time on the security association or on this logical connection, the sender, what it will do is, it will increment the counter, and then it is going to place that sequence number inside the sequence number field of the ESP packet. So every time you send the packet, you just increment it and place that number inside the ESP packet in the sequence number field. Very simple step. And that is the reason why the first packet, for example, step 3 is, this may not be treated as a step, that's a different case. So whenever you are going to send the first packet, initially I have initialized the counter C to 0, and when I want to send a packet, I will be incrementing this counter value, so it becomes 1. Therefore the first packet you are going to send through that security association or through that logical connection is going to have the sequence number of 1. And this 1 is kept inside the IP packet at the sequence number field. In this ESP packet, while discussing the packet format, we have seen that the sequence number is a 32-bit field. So the maximum number that we can achieve by using this 32-bit is nothing but 2 power 32 minus 1. And listen carefully, this is up to third step, it is nothing. and from step 4 it is very difficult to understand, and it is very important to understand this concept. We know that the maximum number that can be put inside the sequence number field of the ESP packet is 2 power 32 minus 1. And what is that we are going to do after this 2 power 32 minus 1? That means you have reached the packet number as 2 power 32 minus 1. After 2 power 32 minus 1, you may be thinking that you have to go back to the 0 and then again start your counter increment by 1 all the time, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. But if this happens, that means when you go back to 0 after 2 power maximum number, that is 2 power 32 minus 1, you may have the same packet numbers. That means in the first slot you will be having the packet numbers as 1, 2, 3 and so on up to 2 power 32 minus 1. Once you reach the maximum number and you start your counting number with 0, you will be having the same sequence numbers, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on up to 2 power 32 minus 1. So there is a possibility that the replay attack may happen from the sender side itself. This should not happen. Forget about the attacker. Now if this particular scenario is followed by the sender, the receiver will be receiving the packets having the same packet number. Of course, after a long time gap it will be happen, but this should not happen. We should avoid it. And the second case is you have to avoid the replay attack from the attacker also. So for this there is a solution where if the sender selects the anti-replay service to be provided by the ESP, and listen that this is a default case. So even though you select it or don't select it, by default it is going to add the sequence number inside the ESP packets. That is going to give the anti-replay service. By default the anti-replay service is activated. No need to worry about it. And what this sender, whenever you select this anti-replay service, what this sender has to do is it should not allow the sequence number to go to 0 after the maximum number, that is 2 power 32 minus 1. This is what we have discussed here. So if you allow it, what happens is, as I told, that multiple valid packets will have the same sequence number. That should be avoided. So for this reason, what we are going to do is, after you reach the maximum sequence number, that is 2 power 32 minus 1 has reached, you simply have to terminate that SA. So you simply have to remove the security association. Now you don't have any security association to communicate with the receiver. So what you have to do is, you have to negotiate with the new security association. Very simple topic, simple reasoning also. So whenever you reach the maximum number or sequence number on a particular SA, let us say SA1, you simply terminate it and you ask for new security association, let us say SA2. And on this particular SA2, you start your sequence number from counter value with 0, and the sequence number ranges from 1, 2 and so on up to 2 power 32 minus 1. Once you reach the maximum number, again you terminate it and you negotiate it for the next the new security association, and then you start transmitting the data from the sender to the receiver. This is what is going to happen, and how you are going to generate the sequence number at the sender side. The simple point you have to remember is very simple. Let us have a recap of it. Initially you take a counter, initialize it to 0. Whenever you are going to send a packet, you increment the counter value and you insert that counter value inside the sequence number field and transmit it. So the first packet will be having the sequence number as 1. And the maximum value that can be reached is 2 power 32 minus 1. Why? Because the sequence number field is a 32-bit field. And by default, the anti-replay service is enabled in the ESP, and therefore, in order to have this anti-replay service, you should not, the U means the ESP should not allow the maximum number value to go from 2 power 32 minus 1 to 0. You should not allow it. And next thing is, if you allow it, as I told that the multiple valid packets will have the same sequence number, that is the replay attack, which should not happen. So for this reason, we are limiting the 2 power 32 minus 1, and once you reach the maximum number 2 power 32 minus 1, you have to terminate that security association and you have to negotiate with the new security association. This is all about how we are going to generate the sequence number at the sender side. Now let us see what happens at the receiver side, how the receiver has to process those packets, that ESP packets. Before going to the how the sequence number is processed at the receiver end and how we are going to thwart this and replay attack by using the window concept, let us see one important concept, that is, we know that the IP is connectionless service and it is unreliable service. The meaning of this connectionless and unreliable service means, let us explain it with an example. Right. So this is the sender S and this is receiver R, and these are connected with the logical connection or physical connection, whatever it may be. Let us take and assume that the sender has 4 packets to be transmitted to the receiver. This is packet 1, 2, 3 and 4. Let us assume that. And this S and R are connected with this IP, that is, it is a connectionless service. That means each and every packet is going to take different routes. 1 will be taking this route, 2 will be taking this route, and 3 will be taking some other route, and 4 may be following this first route. It depends. That is the reason why we are saying that IP is a connectionless and unreliable service. Once the packets that are sent at the sender side are going to take different routes, the IP does not guarantee that the sequence of packets that are sent at the sender side will be received in the same order at the receiver. That means the sender is sending 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the order it is following. And at the receiving end, it is not the same that 1 is received at first and 2 will be received and then 3 will be received and then 4 will be received. Why? Because the packets are not following the same route, they follow different routes. It is a connectionless service. So the same sequence may not happen, it may happen or may not happen. That means the receiver will be receiving the 4th packet first, and then he may be receiving the first packet, and then he may be receiving the 3rd packet, and then he may be receiving the 2nd packet. So this sequence may happen. It's not the same, right? The point you have to understand here is the packets, the sequence of packets that are sent at the sender side may not be received in the same order at the receiving side. This is the point you have to understand. The IP does not guarantee. So they will be coming out of order. So this we can say that this is out of order. So they packets, they come out of order when we rely on this IP protocol, which is a connectionless and unreliable protocol. So the IP does not guarantee that all the packets are received, and it does not guarantee that the packets are received in the same order. How can the receiver identify that so and so packet has received and so and so packet has not received? That is, we have a solution for this, which is called as the windowing concept. You will make use of a concept called as window. So at the receiver side, what the receiver has to do is he or she has to maintain a window of size W. This W is nothing but the window size, and by default the window size will be 64. This 64 is nothing but a sequence number, nothing more than that. So it will just number, this indicates the number. So it will have a window from 1, 2, 3 and so on up to 64. So the maximum is 64 here at this case. And the second thing what the receiver has to do is, after initializing the window size of W to a fixed value, and that window size is fixed, remember that it will not change. If it is 10 at the initial stage, it remains the 10 at the terminating point also. And the second step is, the right edge of the window represents the highest sequence number n so far that is received for a valid packet. So the right edge represents the sequence number. For example, let us take this only. This is 64 and this represents n, which represents the highest sequence number of the received valid packet. We will see it with an example, no need to worry, right? So let us take an example also. We have a sequence like this, and let us say that the window size is just 5. 1, like this. We have towards his right hand side and we have something towards his left hand side, and this is the window. The window size is 5. I am taking it 5, nothing wrong. It by default it will take it as 64. You can make use of this window as 5 also, but for our understanding purpose I am just making it use of a with simple number, that is 5. Assume that the left hand side has sequence number 1, 2 and so on up to 10, and this first number in the window is 11, then we have 12, 13, 14 and 15, and this 15 represents n. Why? Because 15 is the highest sequence number of the received valid packet. And whatever that are numbers that are present towards the left hand side of this window, this is window size, right? All the numbers towards the left hand side of the window are already received by the receiver, and all the sequence numbers that are towards the right hand side of the window are yet to be received. They are already received left hand side, and these are yet to be received. And you can assume that if this entire window is W and the maximum, the last value is n, this becomes n minus W. That means the first slot towards the left hand side of the window is n minus W. What is the first slot in the window? It will be n minus 1 W plus 1, and this will be n plus 1. This is general thing you have to understand. At this particular scenario, you have to understand 3 cases. Case 1 and case 2 and case 3. What are these 3 cases? The division of these 3 cases depends on what packet it has been received, what packet the receiver has received. The receiver may receive a packet within this window, the sequence number within this window, or it may receive a packet towards the left hand side of the window, or it may receive a packet with sequence number that is towards the right hand side of the window. So these are the 3 different cases. Let us see case 1. What happens if the receiver receives a packet with the sequence number that falls within this window from 11 to 15? Let us assume that 14 has received. When 14 is received, the receiver, it will check the authentication of this packet, whether this 14 is a valid packet or not. If it is valid, and it will check for this window, if this particular packet falls within this window, and if it is not marked, it will simply mark it. The marking is to just identify whether the packet has been received or not. That's it. So within this window, 11, 12, 13, 15 are not yet received, and 14 is received. After 14, let us assume that packet with the sequence number 11 has arrived at the receiver. Again, the receiver will check the validity of this packet, and if it is authenticated, it will go and check whether it falls in the window or not. It is falling within the window, therefore the sequence number 11 is also marked. At this point, the 11 and 14 are received, but 12, 13, 15 are not received. And after this 11, let us assume that 12 has received. Again, the receiver will check the authentication of the packet. It will go, and if it is authenticated, it will go and check whether it falls in the window or not. And since it falls in this window, it will be simply marked. Here this marking is to just for understanding purpose only. But how you are going to program it means you can take a bit here to represent whether it is marked or not. So one bit means you have two options, one is 0 and another one is 1. If it is 0, it is unmarked. Let us take it as unmarked. If it is 1, let us take it as marked. This is how we are going to program it. So this is all about the case 1. When you receive a packet that is valid packet and that too it falls within the window, then you are going to do this. You are going to mark it and then you leave it. And coming to case 2, what happens if I receive a packet that has the sequence number towards the right hand side of the window? It is not in the window, it is towards the right hand side of the window. So in such case, you have to advance the window. Advancing means you don't have to increase the size of the window. As I told that the size of the window is always fixed. Therefore, here I have taken the window size as 5, it remains 5 all the time. But whenever, for example, let us take the second case. Let us assume that a packet with sequence number 17 was received at the receiver end. In such scenario, this 17 falls beyond this 15. So it is n plus 2. What happens here is the window will be advanced 2 positions towards its right hand side. So now the new window is from 13 to 17. This is 16 and this is 17. This is n. This is what is going to happen when you receive a packet that is right hand side towards the window. And the last case is, what is that you are going to do when I receive a packet that is towards the left hand side of the window. Let us take an example here. I told that whenever you have a window, all the packets towards the left hand side are already received. Let us take an example that 12 has been received now. It will check for the validity of the packet. If it is valid, it will check whether it falls towards the right hand side or whether it falls in the window or towards the right hand side. Since 12 falls towards the left hand side of the window, which is already received and it is already marked, you can see here, this one. The receiver will come to an understanding that the packet has already been received. Therefore, it will understand that this is something like a replay attack. So I have already received the 12th packet. Why I am again receiving this 12 again? This is what it will think, and it will simply reject it. This is how the replay attack is going to be counter attacked, or how you are going to provide the anti-replay service. So it's all lies in the left hand side of the window. All the packets on the left hand side of the window are already received. So once you receive that packet number again, it will simply come to an understanding. It will simply identify that the packet is replayed and somebody is trying to replay attack. Somebody is trying to attack it by making use of this replay concept. Let us see it with an example what we have discussed. You can see here that the window is from here to here. We have the sequence numbers from here to here. The window size is fixed and it is denoted as W, and the N represents the highest sequence number of the valid received packet. So this is N plus 1, and since the entire window size is W and the last number is N, we have n minus w, this one, and this is n minus w plus 1. You can see the dark blocks here and the white blocks here. The white blocks represent the unmarked fields. That means the packet is not yet received. And the blocked blocks represent the packet is already received and it is valid. And the three cases I have discussed, right? One case is if the packet is received that falls within the window and it is authenticated packet, it is marked like this. And the case 2 is when you receive a packet towards its right hand side, it will simply advance the packet so that it will be covering the n as the last sequence number. So, advance window if valid packet to the right is received, and this is where anti-replaying is provided. When you receive a packet, that is case 3, when you receive a packet that is towards the left hand side of the window, it is simply rejected. These are the 3 steps, that is 3 cases we have seen earlier. Case 1, this is how we are going to process the inbound packets. If the received packet falls within the window and is new, the MAC is checked, the packet is authenticated, the corresponding slot in the window is marked. And this is case 2, towards the right hand side. If the received packet is towards the right of the window and is new, the MAC is checked. If the packet is authenticated, the window is advanced so that the sequence number is the right edge of the window. The highest sequence number of the valid received packet will be the right edge of the window, and the corresponding slot in the window is marked. And this is case 3, that is towards the left hand side. If the received packet is to the left of the window, or if the authentication fails, the packet is simply discarded. This is how the ESP is going to provide the anti-replay service. In this session, let us have a quick recap. In this session, we have discussed, or we have started the discussion on what the replay attack is and how the sequence number is going to thwart that replay attack, and then we have discussed how we can generate the sequence number at the sender side and how they are processed at the receiving side, and how we are going to thwart the replay attack or provide the anti-replay service at the receiving side by making use of the window concept. Very, very important and very simple topic. So, that is all about this anti-replay service that is provided by the ESP. In the next coming session, we are going to discuss about one of the very, very important concept, that is the transport mode and the tunnel mode, the 2 types of modes that are provided by the ESP. Very important concept. So, that is all for today's session. Thank you one and all for joining the session.